Oh, snap. Welcome back to the channel. If you like true crime, go ahead and hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the follow button on Rumble and hit the thumbs up button on Rumble as well. TikTok, we're live as well. So we're live on all three platforms. Lovely to see you guys. I appreciate you guys being here. We got some stuff to talk about. Mica Miller, y'all. I saw two videos first off that I want to talk about. The YouTube channel Plunder was talking about the Ring camera video that has the audio, and then talking about the video of Micah going into the store. So I want to break that down. I want to check that out. All right, let's give it a go. Then I saw that Annie Elise did a breakdown, and I want to give Annie Elise a little love, a little shout out as well. So TikTok, hit the follow button if you're new here. Tap the screen like crazy, 25,000 likes. YouTube, do the same. TikTok, if you want to come watch the video, pop over to YouTube or Rumble, search The Mystery Project. So let's jump into this, y'all. I'm going to shrink myself down over here on the tube. Here we go.
So when I get into this and I start to look at what the scriptures say, I came across this passage, and here it is. You might remember the song by the Birds, turn to everything. There's this easy.
I saw so many people saying, what is she watching? If you want to see the video, y'all, on TikTok, they won't let me show it to you on the live stream, but if you come over to YouTube, you can watch the video along with us. But she's going to start talking here in a second to kind of break down what we're looking at. But it's just the security footage from inside the convenience store, and then it was the Ring camera footage. Yep, you guys come on over. Kat, thank you. And I think the beginning is just like the footage with like this piano. But we're going to talk about it here in a second. Come check it out, y'all. So it says she walks out, use the bathroom before pulling around to purchase gas. Here's another video of the truck, but also the white vehicle. Britt, supposedly he was nowhere near her. Wasn't it on a date? Isn't that what he said his alibi was? He was just on a date. He was like seeing his, what's her name? Susie? He was at a game for his kid. Yeah, until his dad said he wasn't. Ooh. That's true too. Okay, Mickey, why fill your tank? It makes no sense. Salty Texan says, yeah, he was on a date with Susie in another city. His dad said he wasn't. Ginny, thank you. Thanks for the follows, TikTok. And here in just a second, we'll start breaking it down and we're gonna listen to. Yeah, Simply Samantha, I saw that too. That she paid her.
So I want to play these videos for you. I think there are 9 new videos, 9 of them, and I just found them. They were published on Facebook to the account of Kyler Marlowe. Now, many of you will remember Kyler's been doing interviews, went to middle school with Mica Miller. And these videos, people have been saying, okay, where are all the videos of Micah in the store buying food? You know, that fateful day where I do believe she took her own life. Well, Kyler wrote, we got these via FOIA request today. So this must have been yesterday. This was 21 hours ago. Today is Tuesday, May 21st. Kyler wrote, I was finally able to sit down for an hour and screen record more condensed versions. In these videos, you can see Micah's entire journey through the gas station. First, she pulls up and walks inside to a cooler, then to another cooler at the back. She pays for her energy drink with a debit card. Indeed, it does look like one of those like Celsius to me. I'm gonna look at those drinks. I think they're, yeah, Celsius sparkling. Some kind of Celsius sparkling energy drink. It's far away. I can't really see the brand. Some people are wondering, why would she buy an energy drink? I don't know. Maybe she thought she needed the energy. Maybe she knew she was going to hike far into...
Y'all, I just posted a video talking about how the fisherman was talking about when he took the news guys out where this happened. And like she would have had to walk and wade through like waist high water. Apparently, I was like, "What?"
The trail. I did find it strange.
Lily, thank you, Jesse. Thank you.
That interview with the fisherman who found her, and I hope people leave him alone. But anyway, they spoke. I believe it was on News Nation where the fisherman, his last interview, it was with Ashley Banfield last night. The fisherman said, okay, that's his last interview. When he spoke with the reporter, he thought it was strange, you know, the way Micah must have gotten all the way back in there at the Lumber River State Park, somewhere she's never been before, and she would have had to wade through like waist deep water. I guess I can think of different reasons for that, even different reasons for her using the porta potty, as you're going to see coming up in these videos. You know, some people might think, oh, porta potty gross, but I thought, okay, it was a long drive. She might know what happens to your body after death, how you expel certain things, and part of me is really thinking, yeah, she was thinking of doing this to herself because of her also listening to this Necessary Endings by Henry Cloud. True, it is a motivational type podcast or whatever she's listening to, sermon, I think is what Kyler calls it, but to me, I'm looking at it as a totally different way. The book is titled Necessary Endings, the employees, businesses, and relationships that all of us have to give up in order to move forward. So Micah knew her marriage had come to an end, and I'm sure Dr. Cloud does not mean this, you know, in the manner in which it was taken here, but maybe she was feeling, okay, this is a necessary ending, and she decided to end her life listening to that. It's just sad to think of, but she got this Celsius. To me, it looks like Celsius, I guess that's how you pronounce it, energy drink. Kyler wrote that Micah goes back outside to use a porta potty at the back of the building. Then she pulls around to the gas pump, walks back inside to pay for it, and gets her gas and leaves. So you might see more things than we've seen in previous surveillance videos. I didn't pay a ton of attention yet to all the cars around, who's there. I saw a white car and who's watching and who could be. It gets confusing to me because some people think, oh, that black truck in the previous videos followed her and circled around so many times, and other people start arguing and saying, no, that's not the same truck, and it gets confusing. Anyway, Kyla wrote, unfortunately, we don't have any aerial views of her paying for gas and getting a receipt. At the end are 2 recordings of her Ring camera. One is when she is returning home before work, and one is where she is leaving for work. The sermon she is listening to is titled Necessary Endings by Henry Cloud. So I'm going to let you listen to it all again. And a lot of these videos coming up, they have absolutely no sound. So I just will overlay music and let you listen to and watch the whole thing. But Kyla wrote, we will continue to dig on this case. The state park has still not been willing to release their surveillance. Now that kind of surprised me because I thought they had absolutely no surveillance. But Kyler is making it sound as though, and I trust Kyler, saying the state park won't give up the surveillance, which is...
You what?
The state park isn't giving up the surveillance footage? Like to the public or to the police or both? That's weird. Did y'all know that? Thumbs up in the chat if you knew that. Thumbs down. You just figured that out also. TikTok, by the way, hit the follow button if you're new here. Tap the screen like crazy. Let's get 25,000 likes. Help spread the word about the stream out. YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. Same thing on Rumble. And YouTube, if you want to, come hang out on the YouTube channel because you can actually see the videos. On TikTok, they won't let me show you the videos, but here we go.
Really weird. I thought they had absolutely no cameras out there. If they have them, why wouldn't they release footage of Micah pulling in or nearby? Or believe me, I know what a fight it can be to fight with state parks or national parks for footage, like that Gabby Petito footage. It took 3 years, I believe, nearly, for the National Park Service to give up Melissa Hull's body cam video footage. You know, we saw the Moab, Utah officers. We didn't see Melissa Hull, the National Park Rangers footage. I mean, it took nearly 3 years to get that. So sometimes there's a fight for things and I don't know why. Kyla wrote, I apologize if these got uploaded out of order, but you can follow the timestamps at the top of each video. So indeed, there are timestamps on the store videos, and we can see a little dog at the feet of the cashier. We can see the cashier's phone. We see Micah handing over her card. We see a top-down view. So we see things. We see Micah in all black, and at one point it looks like she kind of changes her mind. She's going to buy something over on the left, and then she steps back. I don't know what she was going to purchase. And then she spends time in the porta potty. She gets her gas and she leaves, and that's pretty much it. And then I put the Ring videos at the end of this video. You see her little, they look like maybe butterfly or bird earrings. So initially she has her food and she has her shirt on and she's digging for her keys, and all the time she has her sunglasses on, and the next one she has her work uniform on. So in those Ring videos the time will be down in the right hand corner. So I will play all of those in their entirety from what we've received from Kyler. I'll just let you guys listen to them all and watch them all and see what else you notice or what else you hear. It's just very sad to me. Kyler ended it with hashtag justice for Micah. And to end this narration portion with Nahum, I guess that's how you pronounce that book of the Bible. They're really teeny, small prophets. Nahum 1:3. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power, and he will by no means leave the guilty unpunished. The Lord has his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust beneath his feet. So everything that needs to be straightened out.
Julie, if you guys want to watch it, it's live. I'm live on YouTube as well, The Mystery Project. Search The Mystery Project on YouTube. You guys come on in, hang out. You can actually see the videos there. On TikTok, it won't let me show them to you.
All the crooked paths will be made straight by God. That's why I have to encourage myself and encourage others when it looks like someone's getting away with murder. And to me, it gets confusing when you start hearing all these people posting things. When you start hearing all these things about, you know, I've only heard the fisherman say he only heard crying, maybe for a couple of minutes, and one gunshot. That's the only thing I've heard him say. Now, if you look on Facebook and you start looking other places, you start seeing people write, oh, there were screams and there were multiple gunshots and there was this, there was that. And I don't, it gets too confusing to a point where you wonder, okay, what really is true? But I
Right, especially because her dad was saying that there was multiple.
really do feel so much empathy for Micah's dad, especially her sisters, everyone who loved her, because that pastor, John Paul Miller, sounded like a piece of work. I'm just relying on scriptures like that God knows.
That's a very nice way of putting it.
I believe God allowed this whole thing to happen for him to be exposed, for John Paul Miller to be exposed, for all of his evil, for all of his wickedness, for all of his sins to come out. So I'll just stop it there. I'll let you watch all the surveillance video that's been put up as of this filming. Once again, you'll hear that Necessary Endings by Henry Cloud, that excerpt that Micah's listening to. What a sad, sad case. We will keep following it. Who knows what's going to happen with John Paul Miller and the Solid Rock Church. Thanks for watching.
And then that's what we saw was the videos in the beginning. Whoa. Okay, so I saw Annie at least did one too. Did a deep dive into it, so let's take a listen to that.
So it is the death, if you haven't guessed by now, of Mica Miller out of North Carolina. There has been so much information coming out the last couple of weeks, and I'm sure that there will be even more information coming out in the near future, but I wanted to just jump in here and give you guys a rundown of all of the facts of this case so far. Because when the news of Micah's death came out, details regarding her marriage and the history and the backstory, the details were released, and
that's right, thank you.
Many people believed that Micah had been murdered. However, we now know that police have officially ruled her death as self-inflicted, but there still is an argument out there that no, this wasn't at all. This was involuntary manslaughter. She was driven to do this because of the abuse, the anguish, the manipulation, all at the hands of her husband. Now, I will say this case isn't the type of case we traditionally cover on this channel. We usually cover murders, big cases like that, actual ones where we know that there has been some sort of crime. However, Micah's story is important to talk about for a multitude of reasons.
I think there's a whole bunch of crimes. I've seen all kinds of allegations of what this man did, and that sound like crimes to me. Holy hell. You know what's a crime? Him talking in his little voice like this when he talks like this. And he's crying on the grass because he got caught cheating. That shit was a crime. Holy hell. Crime to my ears. My ears freaking hurt after listening to that dude. That's what he sounded like. Freaking crazy as shit. Spiritual Diamond, thank you for the bears. Y'all, thanks for the bears on TikTok. Hit the follow button if you're new here. Tap the screen like crazy. 25,000 likes. Come hang out on YouTube, y'all. Search The Mystery Project if you want to watch the videos along with us, or click the link that's in the bio. Let's go.
Her situation really does highlight the reality of domestic violence. It highlights the dangers in certain relationships, the mental toll that it can take on these people, and how it can truly lead to devastating outcomes. I also, not for nothing, think that it's really important that we talk about all of these details, because what if, not to cast blame on her husband for saying that he's the root cause of her death, but if all of these abuse allegations are true, he's definitely not a great guy, but I think it's important to highlight all of this because if there is a chance that her death could be ruled as involuntary manslaughter and somebody else can be held accountable, we should be talking about why people think that might be the case. And some of the updates, guys, I will say this, the FBI is now apparently investigating this. There is the possibility that somebody else may be held accountable. There's more information coming out that shows an even more peppered and checkered past of her husband than we ever knew. And it looks really, really bad. So today we're going to go over all of the facts, everything that we know so far, as well as some of the theories that people, including Micah's own family, have on this situation, and we're going to get right into it. But
let's go.
Before we go into all of the updates, I do want to give a little bit of a backstory on what the situation was, so that if you're a brand new listener and you've never heard about this situation in this case before, you have the full total comprehensive story. So if you are familiar with this case and if
All y'all coming in saying recap, recap, recap. Here you go. Thanks for the follows too, y'all. I appreciate all the follows. Very, very, very sweet.
if you've listened to my previous episode, you might be hearing a little bit of the same information twice, but I really just want to tell the entire story as a whole from start to finish. So bear with me. So on April 27th, 2024, police were called to Lumber River State Park in North Carolina. There, they found Mica Miller's body. Now, Micah was only 30 years old at the time of her death, and Micah was married to Pastor John Paul Miller. He was a pastor with the Solid Rock Church in Market Common Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So following her death, multiple memorial services were held in Myrtle Beach to honor Micah, who friends and family say was just an extremely involved member at Solid Rock Church, where she sang and where her husband was the pastor. One man said, quote, "She was just the nicest person you ever talked to. She was very uplifting, very supportive, always helping. She was just so nice."
Spiritual Diamond, thank you.
Also, a woman said that Micah baptized her daughter and also played an active role in the church's youth program. So as police quietly began an investigation into Micah's death, the news of her death initially shocked everyone, but not in the way that you might be thinking. See, nobody knew that she had died until her husband, Pastor John Paul Miller, gave a very bizarre sermon to his congregation.
We're not going
Oh God,
to do an altar call today. And
his damn sermons, y'all. They drive me crazy. And would you look at it right now? Just give me a break, dude.
instead, I'm going to have you stand up and I'm going to make an announcement. And after the announcement, I'm going to ask that you leave church quietly and don't talk about the announcement here in the building, please, if you can, so y'all can stand to your feet. Before I make the announcement, also,
Is it just me or is it super like cringe and I just want to like when he goes, y'all can stand to your feet. Like it just it piss anybody else off? Or am I just tired and irritable and cranky and just getting like mad for no reason? But every time I hear y'all can stand to your feet, I'm like, how else do you want me to stand? What the hell does that mean? I think I'm just being too much. I think I'm cranky and tired, like that little kid said on TikTok. All right, let's go.
I want to say that my request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give for the next little bit, because I don't want to have. I'm taking a little bit of a break, and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days, a few weeks. I don't know. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away, and it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina.
Man, the way he says that too. My wife has passed away. It was self-induced. You know what I mean? It's not like my wife passed away and it was self-induced. My wife passed away and it was self-induced. He like rushes that shit out. You hear that? Man, y'all, it could be nothing. He's not charged with anything. We have no idea. It's all speculation. It's all thoughts. But it is fucking weird. Listen.
I'm taking a little bit of a break, and I don't want to have to worry about the church. My break may be a few days, a few weeks. I don't know. I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away, and it was self-induced, and it was
my wife passed away. It was self-induced
in North Carolina, and we're gonna have a funeral for her next Sunday here at 3 p.m. And so it's all I can. Yeah, I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So y'all pray for me and my kids and everybody. And she wasn't. Y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally, and that she needed her medicine that was hard to get to her.
Now, this clip was posted across social media platforms and instantly went viral, guys, because not only is the statement shocking in general, yes, but it was also kind of said in such a crass manner from her husband, who is a pastor, of all people. And on top of all of that, the fact that he literally started out by saying that everybody needed to leave quietly after he was finished with his statement. I mean, the whole thing was just strange at best, and in my opinion, almost pathological at worst, and it kind of just left everybody just feeling like something wasn't quite right here.
Mm-hmm.
But then, as quickly as John Paul's
Angie, thank you so much. You guys are so sweet. TikTok, thank you for all the love. You do not have to do that. Keep tapping the screen, though. Let's get 25,000 likes. We're almost there. Hit the follow button if you're new here. Shout out to Vicky. Vicky, thank you for the off-the-grid love. Very freaking sweet of you. That's a unicorn, I do believe.
It's about connection.
Thank you. Very sweet. You don't have to do that. But you are amazing, and I appreciate the love. All right, let's keep going.
announcement of Micah's death.
Oh, and TikTok, if you want to watch the video with us, come over to YouTube. TikTok won't let me show you the video, but you can see it on YouTube. Just search The Mystery Project. That is the name of my true crime channel on YouTube and on Rumble. We got 84 people watching on YouTube, and we got 200 people watching on Rumble. So shout out to y'all. Let's keep going.
Went viral, all sorts of different information began coming out, which made this entire situation just all the more puzzling. Many people felt like there was definitely way more to the story than John Paul was letting on, and Micah's family echoed these same sentiments. So let's talk through all of that. So Micah originally filed for divorce in October of 2023. In this document, Micah claimed that JP cheated on her very often, that he treated her horribly. Anytime that Micah tried to push back against JP's behavior, he would apparently threaten her with things like locking her out of the home, telling the church congregation about her issues, which, P.S., he had already done in the past, and he would also throw her stuff in the yard. Now, during this time, Micah was staying with her sister. Micah's sister said that during this time, JP also sent her very threatening messages. He would say bizarre things, such as he was going to stay outside of her house with a gun until Micah came home to him. So Micah's sister ended up calling 911 during this incident.
911, what's the address of your emergency?
I need to report a non-emergency at this point.
Okay, what's going on?
My sister came here today to visit because her and her husband were having issues. She came from Myrtle. She told him she'll be home on Tuesday. And he was texting me at this point saying, I'll be at your house at 12:55. I'm armed and ready, and I will keep you up all night. I'm going to get her back.
Jesus.
Oh, my.
And I said, you're not welcome at my house.
Right? The name on YouTube is The Mystery Project. It should be on the screen. Can you guys see The Mystery Project? Thumbs up. Can you guys see it? Or click the link that's in the bio, y'all. Click my face, go to the profile. There's a YouTube link that's underneath like the bio or whatever. Click that. It should take you right to The Mystery Project.
There are no trespassing signs up. You cannot threaten weapons. He has 6 guns that he's just purchased recently. And he's saying, I'm armed and ready. I'm coming to get her.
Micah eventually
Just imagine, y'all, the family. Oh my God. Just imagine the family dealing with stuff like this with him this whole time for this whole time. And then this happens. And then they're just like, oh, yeah, oh, she did it herself. Sorry. Case closed. Man, they have to be sitting there just like,
That's suspicious. That's weird.
just heartbreaking. Something has to, right? Is it just me? Yo, the internet's been like on fire, like just like craziness talking about this case, and for good reason, right? There's no way this many of us would get the same freaking vibe, right? Without there being something else that we don't see. You know what I mean? Maybe not. Maybe there's just nothing there, and it just is a tragic, tragic story. But something just doesn't feel right. Let's keep going.
went home with JP, and the case was dismissed in February of 2024. Back on March 11th, 2024, so a little over a month before she died, Micah's tires were completely slashed around 1:30 a.m. at Springmaid Pier. She claimed that this was also the second time that a razor had deflated her tire within that week. When she took her car in to get her tires fixed at the dealership, a mechanic actually ended up letting her know that not only were her tires slashed, but there was also a tracking device on her car. So Micah reported this tire slashing to the police. Then, later on, at around 11:30 a.m., she called the police again. According to the police report, Micah reported, quote, a man who she has been avoiding came up to her at a gas station. The suspect pulled up beside her and tried to speak with her. She told him to go away, and he sped off before she could record this encounter. He also has been calling and texting her from a private number despite the fact that she has blocked his number. The report also stated that Micah noticed, quote, strange activity and believed that people were following or watching her. She then told police that she feared for her life and that she tried to get a restraining order against this suspect, who was not named in the police reports because no charges ever came from this complaint. So you can be the judge of who the suspect is in this report. Many people, of course, believe that it was her husband, that she had been trying to get away from him, that maybe he was following her, he put this tracking device on her, then she finally files for divorce, all of these things, right? However, a lot of other people are saying that no, this is actually a component of mental health struggles. She was hyper-paranoid. She thought somebody was following her. So in another red flag, in an affidavit, her sister, Sierra Francis...
Yeah, but she couldn't, like, even if she was having mental health struggles, which it sounds like she was, and she was like, oh, I think somebody's following me. I mean, she didn't put the tracker on her car herself, right? Somebody was following her movements with a tracking device, multiple tracking devices, right? Somebody actually was witnessed driving by when the cop was there talking to her. And think about it. How screwed up would it be? This is a totally hypothetical situation, but how screwed up would it be if you have somebody who is already being very to their partner and doing all kinds of crazy ass shit, and then seeing them kind of unravel a little bit and then pushing it even further by putting a tracking device, by putting things on their car, by slashing tires, by doing all that stuff, just feeding into what could have already been happening, right?
What? How dare you?
Because that's what sick people do. Unbelievable. Unbelievably sad. All right, let's keep going. TikTok, hit the follow button, tap the screen like crazy. Let's get 50,000 likes. Thank you for all of the support. And come hang out on YouTube if you want to watch the video with us, y'all. YouTube.com/@The Mystery Project. So The Mystery Project on YouTube, y'all. Let's go.
asked the court to be the special administrator of Micah's estate.
Thank you.
And in this affidavit, she says, quote, I know my sister has expressed the abuse and violence against her by her husband to others, including family members and members of the church congregation. Micah told me that there were people following her, keeping track of where she went. She thought that Mr. Miller hired people to follow her. Mr. Miller later confirmed this during a sermon which I watched. Micah confided in me that Mr. Miller was moving assets that were in his name, such as his vehicle, also changing the deed to their house to their church, transferring interest in Crocodile Rocks to one of his sons, and in
Crocodile? What the hell is that?
February 2024, Mr. Miller removed my sister's personal items from their home that they shared while she was admitted to a mental health facility, and then he left them at an apartment of a woman named Diana. My sister was not aware that her personal possessions had been removed from her residence until she was released from the hospital. Prior to her admission to the mental health facility, Micah was gathering and sorting the evidence that she had to bring to an attorney for filing for divorce, so that it would support her claims against Mr. Miller as to his abuse, his character, his paramours, and associates that he, quote, paid off or blackmailed. While at the facility, those documents, emails, files, etc., were all removed from her phone, personal laptop, vehicle, and purse, and they were never recovered. Further, Micah was unable to access her iCloud account, her email, or her Facebook profile. Mr. Miller continued using at least one of Micah's accounts, causing any recipient to believe that it was Micah's communications. Micah even talked about what she wanted her life to be like following her divorce from Mr. Miller. Having traveled for a church mission this past fall from October 15th through October 27th, 2023, Micah was intending to participate in additional missions, even to live part-time in Kenya. Micah recently shipped some of her personal items to Kenya in preparation of her stay there. My sister was hopeful for her future after filing for divorce.
Yeah, who does that kind of stuff? She paid her registration, y'all. She paid the registration on her car. A lot of us don't want to do that shit anyways. So why are you going to do that before something like this? You know what I mean? Making car payments and or registration payments, filling your tank up, right? Didn't she fill her tank up? It's tragic. Something's weird. Something's freaking weird here, y'all. But we don't know what it is. We don't quite know what it is. We can't put our finger on it. And I mean, as of right now, just so everyone is clear, it is not the whiny voice dirtbag dude that's like me, 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 me. All right? It's not. Because apparently you got to make that shit clear, or else he's going to start whining and shit. And nobody wants to listen to that shit. Jesus. Guy's going to piss me off. Hey, guess what? You know, and I've said it before that I wish it was illegal to be a dirtbag like this, because then you'd be like, oh, life. Later, lock him up, throw away the key. You're out of here, bro. Sif. Yeah, dude's crazy. All right, all right, let's keep going. I'm gonna keep talking. I'll keep rambling. I'm tired, so I'm gonna start just rambling. So I better hit play. TikTok, hit the follow button if you're new here. Tap the screen like crazy. Thanks for the donuts, y'all. We're almost there. Thank you for the love. You don't have to do that though.
From John Paul. My sister also expressed to me that she was fearful that she would not make it to the divorce and that her life would be taken from her. It is my belief, based on the conversations with my sister, that she told multiple people, including other family members. Micah stated to me on many occasions, quote, "If I end up with a bullet in my head, it was not by me. It was..."
See, shit like that. Is that Armando? Dude, no freaking way, dude. What the hell are you doing, man? Long time no see. Sweet baby Jesus. Was it been 20 years?
JP. Now, coincidentally, this was the same time that Micah was admitted to that hospital.
Thank you, Nancy.
An affidavit has indicated that Micah was hospitalized because JP said that she wasn't taking her medication properly. He said that it was affecting her mental state. Now, Micah had been taking lithium to treat her mental illness since back in 2017. JP said that Micah hated taking her medication, though, because it made her gain weight, it made her slur her speech. He also said that she was being influenced by her church friends, who said that they could just pray her illness away. So because of this, JP said that Micah was having psychotic breaks, and thus she needed to be hospitalized over it. JP had the power of attorney over Micah's care, so he's the one who hospitalized her in February 2024. But was this payback? Was this truly for her well-being? A lot of people wondered what the truth was. What was the real motive behind this? Now, while she was in the hospital, JP also took her purse and her car keys. Then he went to go find her car, which had been left in a parking lot. And JP said that he did this because he was worried what Micah might do when she left the hospital. See, according to him, she was prone to these manic episodes during this time of the year. She had a history of impulsive spending, and he was really worried that she would try to sell her car to then fund some of her purchases, some of that impulsive spending.
What? It was the holidays. That's literally the whole thing. Why do you think there's sales and shit and Black Friday and all that stuff? It's because that's what you do. The gift of giving.
What? What the fuck?
Sounds like you needed to step up your game, dude. If your wife wants to go buy some shit, you better be working your ass off to be able so she could do that. My God. You sound crazy as hell. Yo, that was my mom. My mom's here. She's in the house. She came to visit. My mom is here in the flesh. But she's probably not going to come on camera, y'all. But she came in and gave me a thumbs up. Thanks, Mom. But you know what I mean? Are you gonna come say hi?
I'm not going to go on camera, but I will say hello.
Well, you better say hi real quick. Y'all put some green hearts in the chat. Mom's in the house.
Hey, y'all.
Hey.
How y'all doing? They've never heard my voice before. Or my laugh.
You have a massive amount of green hearts coming in the chat right now,
That's
Mom.
awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, Mom hasn't been feeling good, so y'all put a whole bunch of green hearts so that she feels better.
I am starting to feel better. Thank God.
That's good. And you have hundreds of hearts coming in right now.
That's awesome. Thank you guys. Love you guys. Okay, I'm gonna go get some water.
That's a wonderful idea.
Something you never really hear me say.
I know, right? Oh, look. And if you guys know why those hearts are green, no, I'm just kidding. All right, let's keep going. Holy hell. TikTok, 50,000 likes. Everybody watching on TikTok right now, hit me with some likes. Tap the screen like crazy. Let's get 50. MV, thank you for the donuts, y'all. Close on that too. 49 left. Let's go. All right, let's keep going.
JP stated that he was incredibly upset as well because Micah had been having these psychotic episodes. And at one point, he claimed that Micah bought a gun and that he was the one who was scared that she was going to shoot him.
What?
He was begging her family and all of her friends to help her, but apparently,
MT Jamie, long time no see. Good to see you.
according to him, they all refused. However, Micah's family and friends, they tell a very, very different story. They think that JP often exaggerated Micah's illness and that Micah had not stopped taking her medication.
And MV in the house too. Oh my God, it's like old times.
She just went from taking 2 pills to 1, which was allowed under her medical regimen. It was allowed that she could reduce the dose if she wanted. So while she was hospitalized, JP was upset that Micah's family just wasn't working with him. And he actually threatened that he would prevent them from seeing her in the hospital if they didn't work with him.
Why is he does that say premarital series on his on the thing behind him, on his little board behind him? Why would anybody listen to this guy give relationship advice? I feel like it's this dude and then Jody Hildebrandt as like the two worst people to take relationship advice from. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather be like that dude on TikTok that like opens a book and throws cheese at it and then reads the words in between the holes on the Swiss cheese. Like, I'd trust that more than I would trust either of these two with relationship advice. What the flip is going on there? In fact, I need to go ahead and start my relationship advice channel. Thumbs up in the chat. You guys ready for that one?
During all of this, Micah's father, Michael, asked to see the papers that gave JP power of attorney over Micah's care. And when JP showed him these forms, Michael noticed that they weren't signed and they also weren't notarized, meaning that these were not official documents. And Michael actually thinks that JP faked these forms to somehow convince Micah that he had the right to hospitalize her. Just another example of the mental and the emotional control that he had over her. And things were just getting crazier. Micah...
This dude's in there photoshopping documents like that, like PDFs like that. You look crazy as hell, dude. You are crazy.
Filed for separation from John Paul just 12 days before her death. And according to her obituary, they got married back in 2017 after first meeting back in 2009. It's also been alleged that she was 15 years old when they first met, but just to give you a little bit more context behind the timeline of how long they had known each other. She had filed 3 different, quote, separate support and maintenance requests. This is since last year. And the very last one was filed in mid-April of 2024. Again, and she was just found dead on the 27th. Now, separate support and maintenance allows for one spouse to receive court-ordered support from another spouse without officially divorcing. Now, even though Micah officially filed for divorce in April, she and John Paul have been separated for months. It's been reported that during this time, John Paul has had a girlfriend. Now, this alleged girlfriend's husband died 3 years ago from what was ruled as a drowning accident.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
So 2 people?
And in a weird twist of fate or serendipitous moment, whatever you decide, That same report indicated that John Paul conducted the husband's funeral. And multiple other people have come forward with allegations about JP's inappropriate behavior. Apparently, his aggressive and erratic behavior started way before his relationship with Micah. He had multiple traffic violations, and he also had a conviction
Traffic violations?
for assault and battery. In 1999, he hit a woman with his truck twice. Then he dragged her down the road. Then, disturbingly,
What? How the hell is that man free and walking around? That's the craziest shit I've ever heard.
it gets even worse. In 2017, an affidavit says that JP's ex-wife stated that JP admitted to having sex with church members who were younger than 16 years old. He also admitted to being
What? What the fuck?
Holy hell. JP, you look crazy as hell dressed up like Woody right there, too. By the way, TikTok, hit the follow button and come over to YouTube if you want to watch the videos with us. You can actually see the videos right there. The Mystery Project, that's the name. Come search that over on YouTube and Rumble.
being addicted to sex workers, and apparently he also was having an affair with Micah in 2015 while she was still the family's babysitter. Apparently, JP had confessed all of this to the different church members as well. But instead of removing him from the church, they just said, no, you just need counseling. However, JP refused the counseling, which then angered many of the members of the church congregation, and that caused them to leave the church entirely. So John Paul was
Man, if even a word of that is true, I feel like someone needs to counsel a foot up his allegedly.
previously married and had 5 children before marrying Micah. According to friends and family and even church congregation members, John Paul actually met Micah when she was 14 or 15 years old in that youth group, as I previously mentioned. Now, it's been reported that at the time, he was actually the leader of that youth group, and that this was during his previous marriage. So some people believe that he allegedly groomed her before then marrying her later on when she was legally an adult. And to level set the age
That was a weird one.
difference, John is 44 years old now, and Micah is 30 years old. So back then, he would have been around 28 years old when she was
Thanks, y'all. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, y'all.
14 or 15 years old. Certainly too old to be dating a 14 or 15-year-old. Now, in another unsettling piece of information, one of John Paul's exes posted on Facebook about a similar situation. Again, this is according to a Facebook post, guys, so take it with a grain of salt because I haven't been able to 100% verify the information. But in this post, she reads, and I'm going to read it verbatim for you because she hashtags this post with Justice for Micah. She says, while posting updates, I'm going to speak out on the Mica Miller case. I am an ex of John Paul Miller. I was 14 years old and he was 19 years old. I was a child at the time, but I didn't see an issue. But at 19, obviously he should have. We dated for a year and I found out that he was dating his first wife, Allie, while we were together, all unbeknownst to her. She later found out and he lied about it, as he continued to do about the multitude of infidelities the remainder of their marriage.
Dirt bag. Every time he says anything, I just want to hit him with the
why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god. Stop fucking lying.
every time he says anything. Why is it so hard? Oh my God. MV, what are you doing? Thank you for the off the grid love. Thank you so much. You found the links on thehauntedSide.com and supporting the show directly. Thank you so very much. All right, let's keep going.
This has been hard to watch and keep quiet about, but I feel it's time to be transparent about it. I attended and graduated from Grandstand Academy, later renamed Cathedral Hall Academy, the church and school his father founded and was headmaster of, which later became Solid Rock. I dated John Paul and dealt with a small amount of his abuse comparatively. JP also contacted me inappropriately after Allie finally left him due to infidelity. This was around 2016. He was not remorseful of his actions to her with others, was upset over the amount of people that left the church that hurt him financially, and was quickly shut down on my end. What I did witness with myself and my siblings as members in the church as teenagers is the overall abuse from JP and his father to others. I also visited many state parks with JP, visiting his dad because he loved state parks to, quote, reconnect with God. Myrtle Beach State Park is also where his dad was arrested for soliciting gay sex. You can look that up publicly. The fact
What? What the fuck?
The dad? Holy hell. I heard some of the stuff, the allegations, or not even allegations. I heard some of the stuff that he was talking about in his damn email. And I was like,
Bruh.
it was like any day now the dad was about to hear.
FBI, open up!
Absolutely insane. Y'all, TikTok, hit the follow button, tap the screen like crazy, and hit me with those donuts. We got 48 to go. Thank you for the love.
The fact that Micah was found in a state park only brings me back to this family. I feel I have been a coward in not speaking out and dealing with this privately with my family, but I want to say that we believe that this was Micah's last and oh so important purpose in stopping this man from continuing to hurt others and to stop him as a representative of our Lord and Savior.
What?
I am a Christian and I love the Lord so much, and I want to say that what John Paul Miller and his dad represent is not of God. It is not a representation of Jesus Christ. God is good and pure and kind, and he would never want a man to treat his wife the way that JP treated Micah. Please don't let this evil man turn you away from the church. And then it's hashtag justice for Micah.
Was there did he have an affair with Micah and leave his wife and children to be with her? And if that's the case, how old was she when he did that?
So I remember a specific conversation that I'd had with him when that was brought up, and because I'd heard about that, like there were rumors, going around that their relationship even started in infidelity and things like that. And in my conversation with him, he did basically confirm that. He did not get into her age. What he said to me point blank was that she was in my youth group. We became friends over time.
What?
Y'all became friends?
It became kind of something more, and that was probably the gist of it as far as I can remember now. I mean, it's been years ago, but it was a little concerning.
Sweet, thank you.
And there were other
sweet and sassy
members of the church.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there were other members.
That's very concerning, right?
Oh, very, yes. And there were other members of the church, though, that when I asked about it, it was just kind of, it's something that kind of just everybody knew and accepted.
It's just all unnerving. It's all unsettling. A friend that spoke to Micah the night before she died also posted on Facebook and said the following: I will not sit here and pretend that I know exactly what happened on Saturday, but I know a lot. I am well aware in the past that Micah has had mental health issues, and I witnessed her struggle firsthand. But I also know that in the last few months, this has never been used as a weapon to control her. The Micah I saw at the beginning of her mental health journey was not the Micah I witnessed in the last month. The Micah I was seeing was a grown woman trying to break the chains of an abusive marriage. When I talked to Micah last, she was making plans, moving forward, and trusting God. Her faith was her shield. She had reconnected with people that she had been isolated from, myself included. She was sorting out her new normal, and God was putting the right people around her. When we had our first meeting in years, we sat at lunch and talked until dinner time, for 5 hours. We had been in regular communication since that day. I was part of Micah's church for years. We did life together during that season. Leaving that church was one of the hardest things Brian and I ever did. We loved the people in that church, but God had made it clear that we needed to go because it was a toxic environment. We endured relentless attacks from the pastor. It was unlike anything we had ever experienced. In ministry, God calls us where he needs us, and instead of supporting and loving us, our entire family came under attack. There were attempts to sabotage us in our new church home, calls made to employers, dropping in at my place of business in the middle of my workday when I refused to answer calls, and the calls were more than I can count. emails that were rants in
Whoa.
writing. It was a nightmare for close to a month. So Micah wasn't just leaving a church. She was leaving her marriage. She was done. She hired a lawyer. She moved out. She was getting a divorce. And she was left with nothing but her faith, her family, and a small circle of friends. Was it hard? Yes. She had her tires cut multiple times, found multiple trackers on her car, couch hopped in fear of being found, and was hospitalized by her husband when it was completely unnecessary. She confided to me that she felt like an orphan and feared that no church would want her because of him. What she didn't know is that a large portion of us who had experienced the wrath of that existing church were waiting for her with open arms. I talked to her multiple times in her final week here on Earth. She was making plans to get her hair cut, getting help with her car payment because she was a little short after paying her divorce lawyer, and planning to meet us for the second service at church on Sunday. My final text with her on Friday at 9:19 p.m. was a woman making plans to live. What happened between Friday night and Saturday? I was so overwhelmed seeing two certain people on the news last night trying to minimize Micah by painting her mentally ill and crying like they were currently present in her life. So guys, that post was obviously loaded for a multitude of reasons. Not only was she saying that she was texting with her up until she was then found dead and that Micah had been making all of these plans to live and to live a more happy life, but she's also saying that she had witnessed abuse firsthand from the church, the wrath of the church, as she calls it, the wrath of JP, John Paul, the pastor. And guys, there are so many stories out there about JP's awful behavior. Few of them have been confirmed. However, we do know that he has a history of reactive behavior against Micah. Anytime that she tried to stand up for herself or do something for herself, JP retaliated. In an old email to Micah,
That's true.
JP even stated that he doesn't forgive when people hurt him, and instead, he just hurts them back. He attacks people to cause them pain. And this was further corroborated by the fact that JP tried to seek revenge on Micah when she filed for divorce again in April of 2024. Because after she filed, scumbag JP actually posted a public nude photo of Micah on his social media. He eventually took it down, and then he sent her an email which read, "I'm sorry for putting a picture of you on the internet. It was for less than 1 hour and immediately taken down. I was hurt that you were telling everyone horrible intimate details of my past sin, and I just wanted to try and hurt you. Please forgive me. It was evil of me to do that." Which,
JP.
it doesn't matter if it was up for 1 minute, 1 second, 1 hour. You are putting revenge porn on the internet of your wife. It is absolutely despicable. So Micah then sent an affidavit to her attorney, and in this affidavit it said, "Since the day that we became husband and wife, I have been abused in every way that I can think of. Emotionally, sexually, spiritually, financially, and physically. He has harassed me physically and electronically with letters, phone calls, emails, and texts, hacking my emails, hacking my personal Facebook, and impersonating me. Using my stolen phone to send texts and emails out to church members pretending to be me. Texting friends and family.
Crazy as hell.
Saying that I'm sleeping with teenagers from our church, also showing up in person at places around town, to then having installed 3 different tracking devices on my vehicle." I mean, very serious allegations, very scary allegations. And what makes this even more haunting, guys, if you can believe it, is that Micah sent this 9 days before her death. So JP has since released a statement to News Nation, specifically addressing the tracking device allegation, all of that. And he says, "I hired a PI to put trackers on her car to know if she was going to the gun store, because she kept trying to get a gun for the past few months. I never once in my life hurt her in any way. Ever." But people, for obvious reasons, still aren't really believing him.
Ever? In any way?
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop fucking lying.
That's crazy as hell to say some shit like that.
At all. I mean, maybe he didn't pull the trigger, yes, but his abusive behavior clearly was putting Micah through hell. She was distraught. Her whole family is distraught over it. And on top of all of that, there was a police report that was filed just 2 days after Micah's tires were slashed. And in this police report, it's accusing her of stealing almost $1,200 from the church's donations. These donations were meant for their missionary efforts in Africa. This report was filed by somebody at the church, and
That's right. Thank you, Anji. Thank you.
Micah, while she was never named in the report, was confirmed to be the offender, and JP was listed as the other party, meaning he's the one that filed this report on her. The documents had alleged that she had done these transfers via Zelle and also via the Cash App, and that she had also taken out cash donations and put them into her personal account. However, on April 8th, the investigation was closed because there was no probable cause showing that she had actually done this, and the city attorney even said that this was a civil matter between two parties. So to me, at least, it seems like more likely like he was just kind of on this controlling rampage, that after he slashed her tires, after she noticed the tracking device, she realized she was in some serious trouble, so she was trying to gather some money to then be able to escape his grasp, and he didn't like that. He didn't like that he was losing control. I also think that it was mainly for control and revenge because, according to documents, she did have access to those funds. It wasn't as though she was stealing it. And that seems to be proven considering that they had a post-nuptial agreement that was drafted in February, which said that Micah was entitled to the African missions, to the Dare to Care mission, and to the bank account at the South State Bank. Now, it doesn't seem like the agreement was actually filed, however, it was drafted and signed. So it makes me wonder, if you had that agreement in place, why would you go to the police accusing her of that? It makes no sense. Unless, of course, again, it was for control and revenge. Another thing that has people...
A lot about this dude doesn't make sense. Like when he whines and cries like a crazy Muppet reject.
Up in arms and thinking that there's a lot of red flags and shadiness going on here is that Micah posted videos on Facebook speaking to women in general about situations of abuse, and she also shared advice to those who may be in abusive relationships.
I've had a lot of women that have reached out to me about situations of abuse, and I just want to tell you what a lot of people have told me. Male or female, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what gender you are. Abuse is abuse. And you are the bride of Christ. And my Bible says that he took all the abuse you could think of for you.
Desiree, thank
so
you.
that you didn't have to live that life of slavery and bondage and pain. So you don't have to stay in a abusive relationship, whether that's sexual, whether that's somebody forcing you to take illegal drugs, or alcohol abuse, or physical abuse, psychological abuse, making you think that this is all your fault, or you're a bad mom, or you're a bad wife, or you're a bad husband, or you're not giving it your all when you know you are. God hates divorce, but why? According to everybody I've asked and the scriptures that I've found, it's because it hurts people. But does abuse hurt people? How do you think God feels about that?
Now, people close to the couple have started to post statements on Facebook. These statements specifically address his behavior, and one of these posts read, "What I'm about to say is my deep-hearted opinion. However, some stuff will be things that I have personally experienced. I've said it from the beginning. JP doesn't have the guts to unalive anyone. If you truly know him, then you know that his biggest game is stalking, manipulating, and brainwashing. He is the one who will hand you the gun and dare you to do it, or the one to place it on the counter when he knows that they are at their lowest. Just listing examples here. I'm not saying he did or didn't have something to do with it at some level, or that he pushed this sweet soul to the point that she felt like she had no other option. It's heartbreaking, it's nauseating, and I can promise you this, JP is smiling after the ruling. He is thinking that he is at no fault. He is thinking that this will blow over and that he will build his new church and he will have another brainwashed congregation to follow him. He is a narcissist at its finest. Don't stop speaking out. He will make someone's life a living hell until they feel that they can't escape it. I've personally witnessed many situations in the over 30 years that I have known him. I've stood up to him in his lies, and we have had multiple disagreements. I have always said that JP was scared of me because he doesn't know how to handle a woman or man who calls him out on his bullshit, who doesn't fall for his manipulating techniques. He's a weak man with a brilliant ability to manipulate and brainwash. In another post by somebody who used to be close friends with JP, it says, "I believe the saying goes, getting a taste of your own medicine. And I mean that quite literally. You have used and abused for way too long, only to get up on that pulpit and consistently discredit your victims by airing out intentional, degrading, and inappropriate personal information. And doing that allows you to control the narrative. Now we have the death of your wife that you claim only took her life because of mental illness. Fact is, nobody was ever mental until they met you." A close friend of Micah's said that she also had to get multiple different phone numbers in the months leading up to her death because JP just would not leave her alone. In the same statement, the friend said, "You don't have to physically pull the
Ginger, are we going to hear from her journals or binders? Absolutely. Yeah, if that's something that comes out. I'm really curious to know what's in there, honestly. Thank you for the paper crane. Oh, damn.
trigger to be responsible for someone's death. You can minimize your own behavior by resting on others' weaknesses." Now, many people online and in Facebook groups have put together another timeline of events relating to John Paul's statements at the church. This post comes from somebody named Robbie Harvey on Facebook, and I haven't been able to verify every single thing in this post, so again, please take this information with a grain of salt and do your own research. But it's titled The Mica Miller Timeline of Events. It says on February 4th, Pastor John Paul preaches a sermon on Korah and Moses and how it's wrong to rise against religious leaders. On February 23rd, Pastor John Paul files for spousal support. February 25th, in another sermon to his congregation, Pastor John Paul says a mentally ill person doesn't know they're sick. Quote, "You have to trust people around you. The thing that's sick is your mind, and your mind is what you need to realize that you're sick." On March 10th, Pastor John Paul preaches a sermon and reveals that he went through 2 years of messages on his wife's phone. He found that 18 people reached out saying to her, quote, "If you ever want to talk about your husband, you can talk to me and I'll keep it confidential." Visibly upset, the pastor followed up with, quote, "That's a demon talking," end quote. Now, I just gotta say, guys, really quick before I continue, this does stick out to me, whether it means something or not in
Whoa.
the greater grand scheme of thing, I don't know. But the fact that he's vocalizing publicly that he went through 2 years of messages on his wife's phone, first of all, it's my belief that if you go through your partner's phone history messages, that is an indicator of some type of like control or abusive behavior emotionally, whatever it may be. I personally don't believe in doing that. But if you're allowing it and you're like, go through my phone, let's go through each other's, to each their own. I just think if you're like secretly going through a phone, that's not a good sign. But also the fact that he then talked about his findings publicly and that he found 18 people had reached out to her saying, hey, if you ever want to talk about your husband, talk to me. I'll keep it confidential. To me, that kind of indicates that there were 18 people at minimum worried enough to where they expressed to her, hey, if there's anything you want to confide in me, it'll be confidential. Is there anything that you want to talk about? So either they recognize that something was wrong, or maybe they recognize something in his behavior. And I think that's pretty telling. Not saying that he's a murderer, but like, I think that does shed some light on the dynamic of this marriage. But again, for him to then just say this publicly, but say that's a demon talking, it's kind of giving entitled. It's kind of giving thinking you're holier than thou. So this was on March 10th. In another piece on this timeline there, because there's a few things from March 10th.
Yo, it's okay if people have like differing opinions. I mean, as long as nobody's like outright being like rude. But what's happening? I see people on YouTube and I see people on TikTok. What happened, y'all? Who's saying what? I'm invested in listening. If somebody disagrees with something or they have like a different like idea, then I mean that's one thing. But if they're just being flat out disrespectful, yeah, no thanks.
And the next thing says, March 10th, Pastor John Paul says to his congregation, quote, "One thing I'm going to preach about is getting rich, strong, healthy, and finding a hot wife that loves Jesus." This was while he was wearing his wedding ring. Then, on March 10th, he also tells his congregation that his wife was in the hospital and as soon as she got out, she left him. He says, quote, "She gets out and she just leaves. Just completely leaves me. Leaves everything. Drains the bank account and just goes. Guess what? While you're talking bad about me out there, I'm building a school in Africa for over 100 kids to be able to be fed. Again, why he's airing all of this dirty laundry publicly, I don't know. I've seen it happen actually in a church local to me too, and it brushed me the wrong way. But also, like,
Whoa.
the fact that he's talking about how she leaves this hospital and then leaves him, drains the bank account, yet he's bringing it back to him and how amazing he is, being like, so while you're doing this, I'm building a school in Africa for over 100 kids so they can be fed. It's just like, it's giving, I don't want to say narcissist, but kinda. I don't know. What do you think? So then on March 12th, his request for spousal support was dismissed, but there's no explanation as to why. Then 5 days later, on March 17th, Pastor John Paul tells a story of a pastor whose wife left him for a member of his staff. The pastor had to hire a third-party company to find her. Once he found her, divorce papers were drawn up. When the time came to sign the papers, the pastor couldn't do it though because, quote, the Bible says divorce is wrong, and that if she wanted out, she would have to leave him. So then, that same day on March 17th, in a Facebook post made by Micah's sister, Sierra, she says that she keeps an eye on her phone, quote, for fear of my sister's safety due to others' behaviors toward her. She goes on to mention the sermon from March 17th, and she calls out the congregation of Solid Rock Church. The very next day then, on March 18th, Micah posted a video encouraging others. She says, quote, I'm just making sure my heart doesn't have any unforgiveness, bitterness, resentment, just forgiveness and hope for the future, and peace. But then on March 22nd, Micah posts another video. In this one, she's suggesting that she was being abused physically and mentally. She also says, quote, God hates divorce, but how does God feel about abuse? She also suggests that her husband forced her to take illegal drugs. Now, what sticks out to me with this, again, just my opinion, is this was just, 5 days after his sermon when he's saying that the Bible says divorce is wrong and that if she wanted out, she would have to leave him after he had found her and how the divorce papers were drawn up, all that stuff. So then for 5 days later, for her to say, yes, God hates divorce, but how does he feel about abuse? I feel it's just painting a very clear picture of what's going on in this marriage, at least to me. And again, I know I've said it before, but I'm going to reiterate, it does not mean he's a murderer, but it does show that there's some sort of manipulation, some sort of level of mental control, mental abuse, at least to me. So this was on March 22nd. Fast forward about 3 weeks to April 16th, Micah files for spousal support. Then, about a week later, on April 23rd, a hearing notice was sent out for Micah's request for spousal support, and a court date was set for June 5th. But then, just 5 days later, Micah is found dead. On May 6th, 2024, Micah's official cause of death was ruled as a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So then on May 7th, 2024, the 911 call was released, and this call is very heartbreaking and difficult to listen to because in it you can hear Micah ask the dispatcher if they're able to track her phone. After a couple of minutes, the woman asks why, and she says, because I'm about to and I want my family to know where to find me, and then the line goes dead.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Let me see. You don't know where you're at?
At National Park. I have my location on, I think, on my phone. Find My Phone is on. I just did my location.
Okay, I'm showing, I don't think you are in Robeson County. Are you at the Lumber River State Park?
Yeah, that's where I am.
Tell me what's happened.
I'm about to, and I just want my family to know where to find me.
Okay, ma'am. Just listen to what I'm saying, okay?
Oh, it's heartbreaking.
Let me make sure I got the exact location where you're at, okay? Just 1 minute.
Shortly after this call was made public, the sheriff's office also made a post on Facebook that was public, and In it, they discuss the 911 call, about how it went to the dispatcher's office and if it could be the call could be traced, all of these things. And then they go through the timeline of events after they recovered her body. They said that investigators located a SIG gun case on the passenger seat of the vehicle and a box of ammunition in the center console of the vehicle. They also found a receipt for that SIG handgun from a pawn shop and a receipt from a convenience store. Those receipts were both in the vehicle, and both receipts were dated from the same day of Micah's death, which was April 27th, 2024. During the search of the park for Micah, when they knew that the 911 call had come in, the investigators were approached by an individual who had found a bag near the water edge with an identification belonging to
That was the fisherman.
Micah. The individual stated,
Retired. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people talking about that the 911 operator just seems like, okay, let me see if I can find you. Like, I thought, I mean, obviously you don't want to blame her, but you want to be like, what? Like, don't you have protocols? Like, don't you have things that you're supposed to say when people say things like that? To try to be like, wait. Talk to me. What's going on? Let me help you out. Explain to me what happened. The whole time you got people on the way there to try to stop anything from happening, right? And you say, tell me about your day. Tell me what led up to this. And you keep them talking and talking. Next thing you know, 20 minutes has gone by and hopefully help is there.
that he had heard.
Right? I don't know. Y'all tell me. TikTok, hit the follow button if you're new here, by the way. Tap the screen like crazy. 75,000 likes. Thanks for the hearts. Thanks for everything, y'all. Thanks for the heart me's. Thanks for the hearts. We're trying to get 20 of. I appreciate it. Come over to YouTube if you want to watch the live stream with us. You can actually see the video. Come on over, y'all. But hit that follow button.
Heard somebody
And
crying
YouTube, hit
and
the
a
subscribe
gunshot
button.
while he was fishing. Shortly after, a body was located in the water and the victim was identified as Mica Miller. The SIG 9mm handgun was also located in the water at the crime scene during that initial search of the area. Her phone and her other personal belongings were also located, and there was a search of Micah's phone which revealed that she had conducted a Google search for national parks near me, and then the Lumber River State Park location.
Yeah, thank you so much for the subscribe. Very sweet.
Was provided. So the investigators conducted several interviews and they developed a timeline of events in relation to Micah's death. That morning at 11 a.m., Micah was observed on her Ring camera arriving at her residence in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. About 40 minutes later, at 11:38, she was observed again on her Ring camera leaving her residence. At 12:12 p.m., she was observed on store surveillance walking into a Dick's Pawn Shop, which is also located in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. A minute later, she's observed at the register, and she initiates the purchase of that gun. Then at 12:34, Micah is observed leaving the pawn shop after purchasing the gun and the ammunition. At 1:06 p.m., her Honda Accord is observed traveling on Highway 501 near 4 Mile Road in South Carolina. Then 20 minutes later at 1:27, it's observed arriving at a grocery and grill located in Mullins, South Carolina. At 1:35 p.m., Micah is observed leaving the store after purchasing a drink and gas. Then at 2:54 p.m., Micah makes that 911 call. So after John Paul's sermon, the one when he announced Micah's mental health issues and said that she died of a suicide, John Paul was released from his duties as a pastor. And a notice was sent out to the members of the church saying that John Paul was, quote, released for a time of healing, counsel, and guidance pursuant to our governing instrument. The Solid Rock Church website has also since been suspended. So while law enforcement officials have, yes, confirmed that Micah took her own life, people are of course convinced that JP pushed her to do so. Very recently, footage from the funeral that JP held for Micah has been released, and this funeral was held at Solid Rock Church on May 5th. Micah's family was not invited, but they were having their own ceremony for her at a local beach. But now, in this footage, people can't help but notice that JP was acting a little strange during his eulogy for Micah. Now, we of course can't judge people and how they grieve, but something about JP during his speech it felt off. He was shaking, acting erratically, he was talking all over the place. It wasn't a typical eulogy. He would go from complimenting Micah to then almost turning those compliments into insults or things that he didn't like about her.
How dare you?
The thing that drove me crazy was when he was talking about her and he's like, "Can we put the next picture up? We're gonna be and he just went like into like, I don't know, helium mode, sounding crazy as hell. Whoa. TikTok, by the way, hit the follow button, tap the screen like crazy. Let's get 100,000 likes. Hit me with the little heart me's, y'all, or whatever they're called, those little heart things. If you want to, you don't have to, but come over to YouTube, y'all. Watch the video with us. You can see the video. Just search The Mystery Project on YouTube. Click the link that's in the bio. You can find it. Come on, y'all. Get on over here.
He would say things like, and this is paraphrasing, but Micah loved to travel, but I hated to travel. Micah loved to take pictures, but I hated taking pictures. Micah loved to talk all the time. I didn't. I often had to remind myself to listen to what she was saying. She loved tattoos. I hated them. She wrote poetry, which what kind of woman writes poetry? She loved to do dangerous things like skydiving, but I didn't, because what if I got hurt? She had all
What? What the fuck?
That's some crazy. What are you talking about, dude? That was at her eulogy?
these big ideas all the time, but I never took her seriously. I just told her to pray about her ideas for a few days because I knew that she would eventually forget about them. So the only time that he was really even like complimenting her was when he was talking about all of the things that she would do for him. For example, he loved comic books, so she would dress up like his favorite comic book character. She'd also make him custom comic books. He said things like she was beautiful to look at, took great care of his kids, gave him great gifts, and did things for him at the church, even when she didn't want to do them. All of the things that he loved about her were things that he directly benefited from. But that wasn't even the weirdest thing. At one point, JP said that he visited the morgue multiple times so that he could see Micah's body. While he was there, he expected her to wake up. And at one point, he says he actually tried to resurrect her from the dead.
It really hadn't hit me. You know, I've gotten to spend, as Christians, of course, we know she's not here and in heaven, and she's, you know, worshiping and enjoying, and I hadn't even had time to look down here yet. But I got to lay next to her body and spend time with her body about 4 times this week, and each time it still didn't hit me. I thought she was going to wake up. You know, I even tried to raise her from the dead one time this week, and that morning actually, I went to the mall later. She had bought me this dog tag, and the chain broke, so I went to the mall to get it fixed. And I saw a female about 20, 30 feet in front of me, and she was wearing one of Micah's dresses, and she had the same tattoo Micah has on her arm and the exact same hair. And out of just instinct, I screamed, "Micah!" And the girl turned around, and it was one of her sisters. And I thought I raised her from the dead. She's alive, you know.
Then towards the end of his speech, JP was doing this combination of like laughing and crying, which is honestly just eerie and very uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Imagine being married to that. It was like that in our house all the time. Y'all stand your feet, and Pastor Randall's going to close in prayer.
Now, because so many people are still questioning JP and his weird behavior, his potential involvement, he ended up releasing a statement through his lawyer. The statement says, following the untimely death of Mica Miller, unfounded rumors and false accusations began circulating on social media and in various media outlets, suggesting Pastor Miller's involvement in her demise. This created a buzz, causing local and national news media outlets to begin profiting off of these falsehoods on a mammoth proportion. Our client refutes any report that suggests he ever abused his wife. However, Micah's family has also publicly stated that they do not believe JP, not at all. In fact, many members of her family are still not convinced that her death was self-inflicted. On Facebook, her father Michael said that this investigation is not over. He ended up doing an interview with Law and Crime, and he made some really interesting statements. One, when Micah was found dead, there were bruises on her arms and her hands, as well as scratches, which looked like defensive wounds. 2, multiple shell casings were found near Micah's body, even though she only shot herself one time. 3, near the area where Micah's body was found, a tree had a bullet hole in it. 4, her dad knew that she wanted a gun, but he was under the impression that she bought it for her safety. 5, Micah's voice was so slow during her 911 call that it seemed like it wasn't really like her. Something seemed off, and he feels like AI might be involved. 6, Micah had been tracked in the past, so it was possible that she was being tracked that day. 7, they believe that Micah was forced to shoot herself.
Do you have a theory as to what happened? Because authorities are saying, they crossed out his alibi of where he was. Do you have a theory as to what happened? And again, I know this is sensitive, so if you don't want to share it, I understand. But do you have a theory as to what you believe happened to your daughter?
Okay, well, I'll share what we spoke to about with the authorities, the sheriff in North Carolina. Also, as far as with his location, we've seen pictures of his truck. It had dark windows. Was it even him in there? Where's pictures of him physically there? We haven't seen those. They've not been produced. If someone else has them, we would like to see them to prove that he was there, because otherwise it could be anybody in that truck. So the theory would be that because she had multiple tracking devices put on her car previously, that she was followed out to the park or forced to go out to the park, and they either follow her out there or there's no reason for her to go out there. That's the main point as well. She's never been out there. We don't go up there. It's not a family spot. And she was off the trail enough into a park ranger only area that nobody knows about. And so the theory would be that she was either tracked, and then they said, well, we didn't find a tracking device. Well, they could have removed it at the park. When the car was at the park and then it was collected by the authorities, they didn't check for a tracker, which blew my mind. They said, oh, we have all the evidence and everything. We asked them, was there a tracker on her car? And
they didn't even ask? Anita, thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much. He sounds like a hyena crazy. Yup. He certainly does.
They said, well, we didn't check. And we were flabbergasted. This happened over and over during that interview. Why didn't you check that? We know that there was 3 or 4 trackers put on her vehicles. Why wouldn't you check to see if she was followed? They said, oh, there's no cameras, but we know she wasn't followed. Her car is just out here. And I said, well, there's no trackers. They said no tracker. I said, well, they could have removed it after they did the deed. So then Micah's mother, Angelita, she said, pretend this is Micah's hand. And she asked me, grab this hand. And then she pulled it up, and said, it looks like someone squeezed her hand and raised it up and shot. And there are defensive wounds from it and such. And that's the general idea of our theory, that somebody crushed her hand to hold the gun up to her head while she's fighting. Either them or someone else held her other hand or her other arm back, because there's bruising on it from squeezing. And they forced it to look like that was self-inflicted. And a couple of rounds went off during the scuffle. One ejected was live, and then it finally happened the way they would want it to happen. And then dumped her in the water, probably 40 meters away from where the shell casings in the gun was found. The water doesn't flow there. It's a slough. It's still. It just sinks. And it actually flows when it sinks, when it recesses, it goes the other direction from where she was found. So her body, even if it was put in the water right there, would not have flowed the direction where she was found. It would flow the other way. So
that part
would be possible that the incident occurred right there, and the shell casings, and then the gun was dumped in the water right there. And then she was carried farther, 40 meters back, into a little bit more secluded area where she was found.
Micah showed no signs of mental illness before she met JP. JP controlled many aspects of her life since she was just 14 years old.
He had every way to control her. and he was very good at manipulating the situation.
And she thought that he would be doing the right thing, and she wanted to trust that Mr. Miller Jr. was actually doing the right thing for them, until she got away from him and had more time, when she spent more time with us, to peel off some of those layers and realize what was going on. And then she started becoming herself again and got a job and everything else, and was doing fine, and was happy-go-lucky self again, excited about the future, and which is something he did not like. Just, just very.
How dare you?
JP, you crazy as hell.
Unhinged bananas crazy.
Yep.
Just very terrible.
There are these allegations that he groomed her. What do we mean by that?
He had his sights set on her from a very young age. I would guess probably 14 years old, 14 or 15 when we first came to the church. And he made sure that he kept her exactly where he wanted her, to the point of who she married, what job she picked up after she was, 18. He got her married, and then he made her his secretary and his babysitter and his let's go to lunch person, and oh, you're so beautiful.
A lot of people believe these theories, and people have noted that JP's lawyer specializes in AI and could have had a hand in faking her 911 call. Personally, for me, I feel like it is a stretch. I think it's a little too conspiracy, but some people think that you can hear another voice in the 911 call, but that voice is likely not coming from Micah's end of the call.
Of your emergency.
We have been reviewing the details of the Mica Miller investigation and going over the comments that you've left on our last video. Many of you have said that in her 911 call, before she starts speaking, you can hear a male's voice in the background. So we pulled that, isolated the audio, and this is what we found.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say that it sounds like Mica Miller, but then I've seen a lot of people say it's somebody at the dispatch, like at the 911 dispatch, saying my folder. Yeah. At first, I heard Mica Miller because that's what we're wanting to hear. But then when you really listen to it, it does sound like a guy saying my folder.
Of your emergency.
My folder.
There's definitely a man's voice that can be heard in the background. Many people believe he's saying Mica Miller's name.
See.
We isolated that portion of the 911 call, and we cleaned up the background noise, enhanced the audio, and this is what we found.
My folder.
We believe it's a person in the background of the 911 operator who says, my folder.
Robeson County 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Hi, are you able to trace the location of my phone?
Yeah.
This is a really sad investigation all the way around, and our hearts go out to Mica Miller and her family. There are a lot of weird details that don't add up, but we don't think that this is one of them. Let us know what you think. We're going to stay on top of this.
And apparently, JP has a boat that he keeps at his lawyer's house, which is where near Micah's body was found. So people think that they could have used that to get away. I mean, you really can go down a rabbit hole learning about JP, his family, his kids, etc. But as I said, these are all theories that don't really have a lot of factual information backing them up. It's just what people are saying. What is more likely is that JP's terrible treatment led to Micah's gradual mental health deterioration.
Yeah, that seems like it could very well be the case. Shout out to Desiree. Desiree, what are you doing?
Get out of my attic!
Thank you so much for the off the grid love. Very sweet. Desiree, MV, Vicky, going crazy supporting the channel. Thank you so much, y'all. You don't have to do that, but it is appreciated. Let's keep going.
And that eventually,
Lisa Libra, good to see you too. Thank you.
It caused her to take her own life. Many people are wondering if JP can be held accountable, and on Tuesday, May 14th, the county sheriff's office released a pretty surprising statement. They say that the county sheriff's office has been in contact with the United States Attorney Office and with the FBI in South Carolina, that they've been in contact since the early stages of the Mica Miller investigation. Based on the information gathered during the investigation and the jurisdiction reasons, the sheriff's office has requested the assistance of both agencies. No other information will be released at this time, though, and anyone with information pertaining to the Miller investigation in South Carolina is asked to contact the Columbia, South Carolina FBI office. And on that same day, the FBI confirmed that they had been consulted about Micah's case, but they're not confirming, denying, or commenting on the investigation. They can't say whether an investigation is underway or not. But in response to this, Micah's family lawyer released a statement which read, "The family is grateful for everything that everyone has done to help find justice for Micah. They are aware that the county sheriff's office released a statement about the FBI being involved. However, the family has no personal knowledge of the nature of any FBI investigation and therefore has no comment. Justice for Micah." So it seems like maybe an investigation is still underway. We don't know, but maybe they're also looking into JP and seeing if he should be held accountable for something. Although the family and attorney didn't have anything to comment about that specifically, we do know that they have been outspoken about other things given the interview that I talked about earlier, and also some things that the attorney has shared. Regina Ward is their attorney, and she said that an investigative report did not identify witnesses who corroborated JP's whereabouts, and also that no autopsy, toxicology analysis, or gunshot residue tests were performed on Micah's body. Regina was also working with Micah prior to her death on her separation, and she had just seen Micah on the 25th.
That is crazy none of that was. But he sure did rush to get her cremated.
2 days before she died. In that meeting, just as others have said, Micah was giving no signs of wanting to end her life. Instead, she was working very hard toward living a life without JP. She never mentioned being single. She never mentioned going to North Carolina. She never mentioned anything that would seem off in the slightest. Regina said that she is concerned that the scene was investigated for the purposes of looking for evidence to support a finding of as opposed to investigating the scene. So obviously this case is rapidly developing. I mean, there is new information coming out constantly, and her family does not want people to stop talking about this. They encourage everybody to use the hashtag Justice for Micah, and they want more eyes on this. They want answers. They want to figure out what happened and is somebody else truly responsible? Again, not that they pulled the trigger, but did they drive her to this? And I also think it's interesting that with the autopsy, which I would imagine was JP's doing to say, don't test for gunshot residue, don't do a tox report, don't do anything like this. Remember when Micah had posted that video saying, okay, I know divorce is bad and people say divorce is bad, but what does God think about husbands who drug their wives? And she was starting to kind of indicate that that might be happening. One of the things I said in my last episode was like, what is the tox report going to say? Was she maybe heavily influenced under something that he had been feeding her under the table, which isn't a conspiracy. I mean, we have seen that in so many different marital cases, right? But
Brooke, thank you for the hand heart.
The fact that there was no tox analysis, there was no gunshot residue test, I don't know. Something just like isn't really landing for me. I don't think that it's some giant conspiracy that she was murdered at the hands of somebody else, but I definitely think that there is a lot of information that leans towards her being driven to do this, and that she was brainwashed, she was controlled, she was manipulated, and that she felt like there was no other escape. So because of that, could there be charges of involuntary manslaughter down the way? I guess we just have to wait and find out.
Holy hell. What do y'all think? So much going on in this case, situation, however you want to say it. Oh my word. Every day, something else. Every day, something else is coming out. Anyways, y'all, I'm out of here. I've got to get some sleep. I'm so freaking tired. YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button on Rumble, hit the thumbs up button on both platforms. You like that? Yep. And TikTok, make sure, y'all, do me a huge favor. TikTok and YouTube and everybody, come over to the TikTok page. Y'all, click my face. Go to the profile after this. I posted a video talking about the fisherman and how he wanted to clear some things up. It's literally the latest video. I just posted it. Would y'all do me a favor? As soon as I end this, just go to that video, leave a like, leave a comment, watch it, repost it, hit the favorite thing, all that stuff. Help spread the word about that video. I love you guys. YouTube and Rumble, I'm out.